kidding?
Oh my God.
Why not? Huh?
There are bad hangovers and there are good hangovers. This is one of those.
man.
Actually, there's no good hangover.
What are you talking about?
But this is a good hangover.
It's a great hangover.
What is up, everybody? Welcome into the DNVR Nuggets Podcast.
Too small.
A little down here today, Eric. He might be the most hungover of all of us. Well, we'll get to all of that. The Nuggets up 2-0, and I'm excited because, you know, we did the watch along, we did the pregame. You joined from the arena, but really to get Wynn's full perspective, to get Vogt's perspective, I just can't wait because there's some games that are just fun to relive. You know what? There's just some games that you're like, you know what? What if I woke up tomorrow and just relived that? This is one of them. Is the Nuggets get a win to go up 2-0. Very impressive. We're going to talk about that. We're going to do a Stonk report. Then we're going to look around the association at this Lakers-Warriors game that everybody's talking about. That, to their credit, actually very interesting, and I'm actually pretty excited for it. I know, I'm so bummed. It actually is an interesting.
Are you counting down the hour just like everybody at some four-letter network is?
I will say this.
DNVR.
I hopped on today. Thank God for DNVR. You guys ever think that? Thank God for DNVR.
do,
Thank God
yeah.
for us. Because I hop in on the
I'd
car to
never
work
think
today.
that.
I hop on the car to work today like, ooh, I can't wait to hear what everybody's saying. And like all the national pods I listen to are like, preview, Lakers, Warriors. I'm like, wait, hold a second. What? Like, what?
Well, no, every national pod is like, wow, Nikola Jokic is just so good.
That's so
He
fun.
just makes
Let's hold
the
that.
game so
Hold that. That's a
easy.
talking point. Let me introduce the panel over here. I got Brednan Vogt.
I don't know. I mean, I don't know how you're supposed to go to sleep after a game like that. D-line, I think, knows quite well. You don't really. You just bask in the glory.
Yeah, you really do. Over here,
Yeah. You want to know how to bask in the glory?
let me hear it. This is gonna. I love
You
that
go
to this.
home, right? You're like, oh, I should go to bed, but you make no effort to do it.
Okay. Yeah.
Then you're like, oh, I should catch up on Succession. And you push play, and you're like, it's 3:30 in the morning, and I just push play, and you make it through no problem. And then you know what you do?
Yeah. Keep
Really bask? You order McDonald's at 4:30 in the morning.
I didn't even know that was possible.
And it arrives.
Is it breakfast at that point?
Not for this guy.
I mean, it was. In as much as a quarter pounder can be breakfast.
Just throw an egg on it, you know?
Hilarious. And then over here, of course, Harrison Wynn.
Man, happy to be back, guys. It's been a while.
It
Again,
has.
since I've been on the set.
I'm telling you, we don't get your takes nearly enough,
Oh,
Wynn.
I know, man.
We don't get your takes during this playoff run.
I have
It's a
to put them
bummer.
into writing instead.
Let's start with it. You guys were at the arena. I'm going to start with Wind. You've digested it now.
Yeah.
Just kind of what's your big the hangover. Yeah, let's get our hangover takes in.
Jesus.
Yeah.
I love
Never
this
more
graphic.
appropriate.
The best
I
graphic.
might be still drunk.
It's our number one graphic. What would you say when, like, just kind of give us your takeaway and what are you thinking about when you reflect on this game?
Well, it's obviously the defense and Aaron Gordon's defense on Kevin Durant, which was phenomenal.
Yeah.
Like, I think this is going to be the game so far that we look at when, like, we just look at Aaron Gordon's impact in Denver. It was game 2 against Kevin Durant because he bothered him like not many people can bother Kevin Durant. But overall, there's just like such a stark difference between these two teams. The Nuggets they're so physical and they're such a tough team and they're gritty and like they play with an edge. And the Suns, to me, in these two games have looked soft. They've looked like the finesse team that we thought they were. And like the Nuggets are taking it to them in a physical way. They're more physical, they're tougher, they're grittier. And it's like we've been waiting for the Nuggets to be that type of team forever. And we used to only see it when they were down 3-1 in a playoff series. But now they are this team. They are this tough, in-your-face team. They're not intimidated by the Suns. They're not scared of the Suns. They like are laughing in the face of the Suns and Devin Booker throughout some of these games. And this is just a team that has a type of confidence that I feel like we haven't seen the Nuggets ever have.
I love the confidence point because that is a big part of it. And I even like the toughness part. I'll say in game 1, I'd characterize it as the Nuggets, this game meant the world. And Phoenix came in a little cocky, like, oh, look how seriously these guys are taking us. And it was like, no, you're not ready for this. I thought in game 2 they matched the intensity.
Yeah.
And that's why I said one of the reasons it was my favorite game was it became a battle of wills and a battle of toughness and a battle of resolve. And Denver just had it, not even just a little bit more, a lot more. And that's why I agree about the toughness.
Yeah.
The crazy thing is that this is something we were we would lament about the Denver Nuggets. They don't have that tough guy.
Like,
They don't.
we need a Draymond Green type
we
of
would like.
guy.
We would be like, oh, we had it with Paul Millsap, but we did. Where's that going to come from? But it's Bruce Brown. Like, we didn't realize Bruce Brown would be
So
the
true,
full.
man.
Like, we have Bruce Brown is the stand up to anybody, not take anything off of anybody, laugh in your face but not instigate. And then we have Christian Brown, who has quiet. Which again, I was not expecting this. The rap on him coming out of the draft would that he was Grayson Allen, like, which
little dirty or something.
little dirty, but like your other team would hate him. But like, I can't even like. He's just so workmanlike in the way that he goes about it. He
really is.
completely unintimidated, but he's not outright.
To your point on Bruce Brown, the sequence that sticks out to me last night is when Devin Booker grabbed Bruce Brown's jersey, gave him a two-handed shove. Bruce Brown got right up in his face, shoved him back, walked away. Aaron Gordon and Jamal Murray stepped in and just like smiled and smirked at Devin Booker.
You know why though? Because that's exactly the appropriate energy. The energy was, and honestly, let's not kid ourselves. This happened to Yoke 2 years ago. He lost his cool, and the reaction to it was, look at how much we've bothered you. You took yourself out into the locker room, and it was a low moment of that series at least. This is game 2. And I love that Denver looked at that and goes, yo, are you mad? Are you mad? We're just beating you, bro. There's nothing else to it. We're just beating you.
I love Jamal Murray and Aaron Gordon's reaction to that.
And that was Jamal's reaction to the Chris Paul hard foul in game 1, too.
Oh,
Yep.
yes, you're absolutely right. The
He's
laugh.
like, look, man, I'm glad. We'd like to see him busting that out, essentially, you know?
Jamal's like, this is like all you guys have? Like,
there's a level of that.
this is what you guys got. I'm beating your ass, Chris Paul, so badly in game 1, you have to resort to that kind of cheap shot? Like, Devin Booker, like, you guys can't get anything going against this defense that everybody said you were going to kill? And, like, this is all you've got?
The Nuggets also spent their regular season learning who they are and the myriad ways in which they can win games, something that the Suns, a trade deadline team, don't have. And so what was the adjustment in game 2 from Phoenix's side? We got to make this physical. We got to make this a dogfight. Who was better suited for that? The Suns scored 87 points.
They don't know how to do that.
Because Denver's version of a dogfight is Yoke take the wheel,
Yeah.
we'll ball out on defense, and this should probably be enough. The adjustment is just, it was another thing Denver was prepared for. Because over the years with Jokic, but particularly this season, remember, they finished in first place. They took that regular season seriously. And as other teams are advancing, and that's becoming a bigger narrative, does the regular season matter? I think it mattered for Denver, and I think it reared its head in game 2.
Oh, that's a great take. I think I almost said this was an all-time Jokic game. I don't think it was an all-timer because I don't think this was one of his best, but I would say it was a classic Jokic game, meaning he was supremely great in this. And in a way that was like, no, I see what it is. I see their choices they've made. I see how this game is going. I've got to just bully DeAndre Ayton. And he absolutely bullied him. I mean, we wondered about who the best players would be in this series. In game 1, it was Jamal Murray with Jokic maybe third in that game, second or third, depending on how you put it. In this game, he was number 1, full stop. And in no game has the best player been Kevin Durant or Devin Booker, and we're 2 games in already. Denver can win with those guys being the best player on the court, but the fact that you can't make an argument, in my opinion, for either of them being the best player in either game to me is pretty remarkable.
It's insanely remarkable. And the thing that just you hope people understand, which they probably don't, because this is, even though we're talking about the 2-time MVP, one of the most impactful players in the history of the NBA, people don't watch the Denver Nuggets. They just absolutely don't. So when you see these 2 games and you're like in the first, you hear the flood of people being like, man, Jamal Murray is actually the Nuggets' best player. And then you see the next game where it's like, okay, now it's shifted. Now Jokic just changes how he just figures out how to win, how to play, he changes his intensity, changes what he's doing. Like, I hope that people are paying attention and they see why the man is so valuable, to use a very pointed word. Like, he just understands the game in a way that other people don't, and he can do exactly what you don't want him to do.
Yeah. The fact that the swing, it's an all-time swing to go from Murray, not an all-star, doesn't get any votes to. Is he actually the best player?
Insane.
Is he actually better than the MVP? The way people can swing a narrative in both
because
directions.
they have a history of watching one game.
Well, that is true. I will say this, and this is why I credit Waz. Bill Simmons says he watches every Nuggets game, and you can tell because he's not one of these guys that has weird takes about it. He's like, no, what are people doing? He had a great comment that went viral yesterday where he said, I'll regret not voting him for the rest of my life. He's saying that a little bit tongue-in-cheek, but it's also a thing where it's...
He means it, though.
Yeah, I highly doubt he's kicking himself the rest of it. But nonetheless, there is a thing of when you watch one game, your takes can be literally anything about the Nuggets. If it's a good Jokic game, whatever, bad, whatever. If you watch like one Nuggets game every 2 weeks, maybe you have a little bit more rhythm to it, but you still will be all over the board. You have to watch him every night to see the through lines of like, oh yeah, he is at the heart of everything, no matter what statistical output or how the game flow goes. He's at the heart of it. But yeah, all these other guys are put in comfortable spots, and sometimes they shine. And that's a great way. When you look at the Suns, they are such an opposite of this. And some of this is they just haven't built a roster yet. This is a midseason trade team, very much so in every way. But some of it is also Kevin Durant either scores or doesn't on his possessions. That's kind of full stop. And then they pass to Okogie, who doesn't even look at the basket half the time. And it just plays like that, where you're like, that's the difference between the Yoke style and the KD style.
Every non-Nuggets podcast right now is like, Nikola Jokic, man, he really makes every teammate better.
And every single second he's on the court,
they're like, they get a great shot every time down. He is so incredible. It's like, duh.
Yeah,
we've been saying this for 3 years.
No,
like,
he won the
obviously.
MVP.
It was Greg Anthony on the call last night, I believe, right? I think I have that right, or at least in what I rewatched last night. And he's long been, a fan of Jokic's and a supporter of Jokic's. But he pointed it out in just a really simple way that hearing it from a former player was like, when guys get a chance to shoot and they see the ball go through the rim, they rebound better, they defend better. They're better role players.
Yep.
And it's not a coincidence that every Jokic team seems to be greater than the sum of its parts.
Yeah.
And it's that.
And guys, and just feel a part of it and all those different things. I will say, we do have a little bit of the nobody believes in us mentality, because it's true. Like, they get the short stick on all of this stuff. But I will say, there's a lot of fans of Jokic out there. Last night, Charles Barkley, you saw, like, it was his opening line, basically, when they were like, about the game, Chuck. And he's like, yeah, I thought these guys played good. But guys, we got to appreciate Nikola and what he does. Like, you can tell a genuine appreciation, especially from the big men. I mean, the stuff Hakeem Olajuwon, we all know he's the one. That's the guy I love to watch. Tim Duncan, same thing. When he's on, that's the guy I like to watch. There's a real appreciation from the true bigs who know and see all the things Jokic does. And like Charles Barkley, I'm going to go ahead and say this. Charles Barkley is on the list of players that Jokic can surpass with a finals run. And Charles Barkley's thought of an all-time guy, but when you start to put their accolades up, and I think Charles Barkley is one of those guys that sees it. He's like, man, that's hard to do. Dude. All that stuff he's doing, that's hard.
Yeah, and it was also perfect last night because Jokic just was so dominant in a way that people want a big man to be dominant.
Right.
Just taking it to DeAndre Ayton in the post, on the block, muscling through him. I mean, he went 17 of 30 from the field. He went 15 of 24 from 2-point range, 2 of 6 from 3. Like, he played that game in the paint, around the rim, just out muscling, out physicaling the Suns defenders. He was just a beast. Like, that was a Shaq type of performance, within the arc from Nikola last night.
And the craziest thing about, there being Jokic guys that reveal themselves around the league, and, you're like, oh, wow, there are a lot of Jokic supporters, but it was made this year. You had to have courage to be a Jokic supporter.
So true.
And a lot of people didn't have enough courage.
You would be under
a lot of people didn't have enough.
By the narrative was so ugly and disgusting and just so no one wanted to touch it because suddenly you were talking about societal ills and social issues. We're like, what are you talking about? He just had a triple-double. Like, that's what we're talking about. It was terrible. This was a terrible year as far as that's concerned. There's nothing sweeter, though, than now when everyone is paying attention, the lights are on, you get to see what the conversation is actually about. And it's surprisingly not about race, if you can imagine. It's actually just about a really great basketball player.
Yeah. I do love your point though about this being a old school center game for Nikola, because he plays different styles again depending on what's needed, and everybody knows the passing, jump shooting, all this stuff. But the fact that he just went and abused Ayton, watching the series has been funny because I both get why the Suns players hate Ayton, but also think that he's the scapegoat for all of their things. You know what I mean? Like they blame him, but at the same time, he brings a lot of it on himself. But he's in the torture chamber, man.
Dude, it's what we said previewing this series. Jokic is on record respecting Ayton. That can't be the optics.
Right.
It can't look that way. It did not look that way in game 2. It was, and I just mean in terms of the basketball, it was disrespectful. I also have to say, I know there are a lot of effort plays Ayton doesn't make, but like he's getting smoked by one of the best offensive players that's ever lived, and everyone's just looking at him like, come on, man. I'm like, you guys guard him.
It's so true.
Yeah.
What else from this game? You guys got any other takes here?
So Phoenix, Monty Williams talked pregame about wanting to push Jamal higher up the floor, wanting to push that pick and roll higher up the floor, try to get it away from the free throw line. And rewatching, they were picking Jamal up high, and it was like, but I feel like they almost went too far in the we can't let Jamal Murray beat us department, because guess who did?
Right.
Jokic.
Yeah.
And it did feel a little bit of like a...
It was closer, though.
It was closer, and I think it was the right... Again, we know that Denver's plan A is actually not for Jokic to score 40 points. But again, it's just a reminder of the layers. Like a really good team like Denver, you start stripping away what they want to do. The last layer of it is they just give the ball to Jokic and he wrecks you.
Yeah.
And it's a real pick your poison thing.
Let's talk about Jamal, though, last night, because I rewatched the first half of this game. And it's all I've gotten through so far on rewatch. He did have a lot more open shots than I remembered watching it live. I do think there was a inability to get open shots from him, an inability to run his actions. They wore him down. They got into his space, all of those things that are going to be repeatable. But there was also just a miss the good shots that he got, transition, wide open three, what have you. Are you concerned at all, Win, that they have unlocked something about Jamal Murray? One, wear him out on the other end, run him through pick and rolls over and over again. And two, get into his space, because he's not good at drawing fouls and he's not good at getting around you.
A little bit. I think they've found a little bit of what they can do to slow him down, because he missed open shots, but I feel like he was getting different types of shots in the first half of game 2 than he got in game 1, and just guarding him a different way, it would make anybody just think about it more, and just like he was in a different rhythm than he was in game 1. And like that's what the Suns were able to do. Jamal after the game was like, "Nah, I just missed open shots. I've never gone 0 of 9 from 3 in a game. I've never gone that cold." So he's telling himself that it was just that, but I think there was a little of, the Suns guarding him differently, forcing him to give it up a little bit more than they did in game 1. And I just think it threw him off his rhythm slightly, and Denver will have to adjust.
Yeah. They did throw him off. They definitely threw him off. I wonder with him, because Ryan Green from the arena showed, always gives a little report, you as well, like, hey, man, he looks so dialed in again. And I think he was. And when they started getting physical with him and running him through screens, I think he kind of revved up, which doubled into it. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I wonder, like, I always love comparing basketball to boxing, because boxing is, it's emotional control, it's mental control under pressure and under fatigue.
Yeah, it isn't.
No.
Teammates
No, I'm
punch
just
each other.
saying the part where it's like in boxing, a guy gets a good shot on you and your immediate response is, well, I got to get him back, but you can just be leaning into it further.
Totally.
And I think there was a little bit of an emotional, I just think that Murray might have revved up when they were trying to rev him up, and then he was just so worn down.
Yeah. And then it was obvious during the game, like his body language was not good when he was missing shots, and really throughout most of the game, it was really bad. There was one timeout that the Nuggets called, and like Jamal lingered on the court. He walked really, really slowly back to the huddle, and DeAndre Jordan came off the bench and like got in his ear, and it was like trying to hype him up, and it was almost like he was trying to keep him locked into the game, because he could tell Jamal was just kind of drifting. So Jamal will hit those open shots, but he's got to lock in like he did in game 1 and not let those misses just take him out of the game.
But there is also something to not getting himself going at all versus the snowball effect when he does. Because sometimes with Jamal on his worst games, you're like, that adjustment really took him out of it. And then he ruins Nickeil Alexander-Walker's life.
Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
it's not always as simple as the adjustment. So some of this is Jamal could have and should have just played better.
Yeah.
But I agree that the Suns exhausted him. There's a little bit of a damned if you do, damned if you don't from them, though, in that the harder they work to do that, the more they're exhausting themselves.
They exhausted themselves 1,000%. They had 14 points in the fourth. Denver had some great defense. They made some adjustments, but you know what else? They were dead tired from their own strategy. And I'm not, look, the Chris Paul thing is unfortunate. We'll talk about that on the other side. But I think there's a part of this, too, of they play their guys so many minutes. And when they said, we're not going to take your minute total down, but we need you to play even harder. And then he gets hurt. And again, he's old. But this is why people didn't buy the Lakers necessarily making it. And we'll see if they're wrong about that. But that's the whole idea of Anthony Davis is going to have to play hard 38 plus minutes a night, 20 times just to make it to the finals. And he's never really proven that. And last night, I do think there's a little bit too. Chris Paul gets a non-contact injury at 38 years old in a game when the plan was to run the other guy ragged.
Right.
Might have just been a double casualty on that one in game two. Let's take a break, though. I want to talk about where do the Suns go without Chris Paul before getting to the Stonk report.
Just kidding.
Well, they are going home.
Oh, yeah, it's true.
Breckenridge Brewery, the official beer of DNVR. If you don't know where to get Breck Brew, check out the Breck Brew beer locator, breckbrew.com. That will tell you where to get Breckenridge Brewery. Wherever you are, just type in your zip code. If you're local, come down to the DNVR bar. We got tons of Breck Brew on tap. But if you're not local, check out the Breck Brew beer locator and check out the Mile High City Golden Ale. You can't miss it. Look at that beautiful Nuggets can, that beautiful Nuggets Rainbow Skyline box. Breck Brew is the official beer of DNVR. Also, make sure to check out IV Nutrition of Wash Park.
Let's go.
You can get a membership for free. 100% of your membership fee is applied to services of your choosing. You have to stop by the Wash Park location, though, to get the DNVR deal. It's on the corner of Alameda and Downing. Anybody who goes by their Wash Park location and mentions DNVR when they come in gets 50% off their first IV nutritional drip. Call them 720-259-4404 for more information. They've also got a lot of other services, wellness blood testing and consultations, intermuscular injections with vitamin formulas. They got an express lunch break drip, hydration drips. They got tons of stuff. Super professional. They take care of you. We've all been there. Definitely recommend their services. So stop by their Wash Park location, corner Alameda and Downing. Mention DNVR, get 50% off your first IV nutritional drip.
Let's go.
So according to GameScore, not the best metric for analyzing how good of a game a player had. This was Jokic's sixth best playoff game all time. Number one, it leaned
Spurs?
Yeah, it leans really heavy towards
Spurs.
points.
Yeah.
So it was the Spurs game where he had 43, 12, and 9, although he was pretty good.
That is good.
Well, that was, if I remember, I mean, that was 2019, but that was also another game where just nobody had anything.
Yeah.
And it was all him.
It felt like such a closeout because they lose game 1, almost lose game 2, and then win. I think they lose game 3, win game 4, win game 5. So they had momentum.
Then you go
And
to
then
San
game 6,
Antonio.
just laid an egg from everybody.
The
but
worst
Jokic.
part about that
Yeah.
game is that
San Antonio Coyote was like going crazy.
the worst part about that game is that we watched it at the View House. Remember?
Yeah.
And
that
I
was
like,
lame.
and I like couldn't. I like. The setting
Did they
was,
even have the game on?
The setting was such that like it didn't really impact me how good his game was.
I think
later on I was like,
yeah.
oh,
I agree with
wow,
that. I agree
And
with
then,
Dude, I think it was opening day or opening weekend or something for
Yeah.
baseball too, and it was like, my God,
I was like
official Nuggets
standing
party.
up, and somebody in a cabana would like told me to move so they could see the TV better.
Like,
I was like, what is happening?
We've come a long way.
we've come so far.
Somebody in a cabana.
Second best game, 37 piece against the Blazers. I think this one was game 6, but I'm not sure. Then you had Minnesota this year.
Was that the double OT one?
The double OT game,
Okay.
43 points, 11-16. You get Nuggets
game.
at Golden State, the loss. I think this was game 3, 37-18, 5-3.
Yeah.
From Jokic, such a monster playoff
like-
game.
Just while being guarded by Draymond Green for 48 minutes.
On a
pretty
team
much.
with no second or third option.
Yeah.
Portland, the win in double overtime.
Bryn Forbes probably played
That
like
was 2
25
years ago.
minutes.
That was the the big 55 piece from Damian Lillard that game, but Jokic was also 38, 11, and 9.
That's right. Yeah.
So Jokic also was incredible. And
He
then
didn't have to
and then
foul
last
bait to
night.
do it.
So kind of interesting little walk down memory lane. 2 of his top 6 playoff games then coming from this playoff run already, and I feel like he's been in first gear. Last night he went into 5th gear. That was the first game I feel
Yep,
like he's
me
kicked it
too.
into 5th gear.
Reminder game, yeah.
I just I have to do it this time. Okay.
And also, just I think Eric is right that a little bit of the outside noise, and internally we're past this. We don't care if the MVPs are there, but like, oh, is it really Jamal? Is Jamal the reason they're winning the playoffs?
You think?
I think it was. Look, it's just.
He said it though. He's our best player.
No, I know.
It's actually hilarious.
It's
I know.
actually an incredible move,
It's
man.
incredible.
I want to
move.
hear this though.
It's an incredible move. I think Wind is right, but I think it was drifting in that way. And I just think it was a nice reminder for people, much like that Steph game was. Like,
Yeah.
oh, and Chuck said it. Like, hey, greatness is greatness. That was greatness. And if you forgot, because the Nuggets are balanced and they've got some team wins and other guys can step up, if you forgot for a second why this is a real contender, it starts with 15.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's talk about Chris Paul. That injury, we are probably not going to get an update because even though they probably know, I just bet that's a thing you hold close to the vest until Thursday or Friday to announce. But
Yeah.
my sense is I would bet, if you told me I have to place a bet one way or another, my bet is that he's done. Not just for game 3, but groin injuries are famously slow healing.
Yep.
And you can't overcome them. It's not like, oh, I'll just have to play through that. It's like, no, you're not going to be able to walk and run and guard.
No, like, yeah, if you tear like soft tissue,
Even strain.
straight, yeah, strain. But a strain is a small tear. You know?
What
It's like
was a strain? Sprain.
a sprain?
No, a strain is a small tear.
Yeah, I'm
I
saying,
think
but
you're
what's
thinking
a
of, like,
sprain
pulling
is
it.
yeah,
can't
not
sprain a-
whatever's short of a tear. Let's just say best case
Strain,
scenario.
yes.
Still
it's-
hard.
Yes, especially when you're talking about like that area where, you need to move your legs quickly to shift side to side. I mean, you can't. Like, I hurt my foot at one point, and I was like, well, I guess I can't walk anymore.
No,
I'm done.
I saw him leaving the arena, dude. He was limping. He did not look
Yeah,
thrilled.
it sucks.
You would
Like,
bet
that
that he's
sucks.
done for at least game 3, if
It's
not
my
just he's
it's my
out.
gut feeling. Yeah, I'd be surprised.
So if he's not able to go, the story of them is that they have 4 guys. If they're down to 3, is this like damning to them?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, absolutely. And it's funny because the image we have in the back of our mind that we did have heading into this matchup, Nuggets Suns, was just Chris Paul running high pick and roll, getting to the elbow, and just going up for that drifting away, fading away jumper, and it just cashing every time. And he's done that a couple times this series, but there hasn't been a whole lot of Chris Paul going on. He's kind of just been standing in the corner a lot. So it's not as big of a loss as it would have been a couple years ago. But yes, I mean, because when you're taking out Chris Paul, you're replacing him with Campaign.
Right.
Like, that's the biggest reason why it's a huge loss for them.
Strong agree.
Yeah.
Strong. I mean, it's not Booker's their best player in my opinion in this series by a lot. And then it's
really is true. It is funny how much more I fear him.
dude, I'm kind of now a little recency bias. AG was incredible, but I'm fine with the ball in Durant's hands right now as opposed to Booker. But it's more of like there were only so many things this team did well in terms of variety, as it were, right? And now you just take that option away from them, another ball handler away from them. The ball has to be in Booker's hands even more, which is exhausting. Like Wynn said, they got to play Campaign. Like they didn't have the depth to lose anyone. So whether Chris is a Hall of Famer in this series or
Especially at
not,
the top.
it's an impact.
Yeah, you can't. They can't lose one of those top 4. They can't. I mean, that's the construction of their team is, as has been pointed out by every person that looks at this, is extremely top heavy, which is good. You have very high end talent, but then after that, they gave up all of their middle level talent to get the high level talent. And if Kevin Durant isn't giving you the same production that would be even a combination of Mikal Bridges and Cam Johnson, which he didn't last night, it's like we're in trouble. We're in real trouble. Like Kevin Durant has to give you as much production as you lost by giving up players to get him, which so far he hasn't done at all. So if they lose one of those 4, like, I mean, it'll probably benefit Ayton. Like he'll be featured more. Probably he'll be or not. I have no idea. Actually,
I actually think it's harder on Ayton.
Probably
Ayton's
you're
a guy
right.
that gets set up.
He's really not going to get the ball now.
You might be right. You might be right. You might be right.
Bro's going to be doing cardio.
Dude.
Yeah, I think that it would be damning for them to such a degree that I would move to being shocked if they lost. If the Nuggets didn't close it out in 5, and this is not a disrespectful thing to Phoenix. Phoenix still can make adjustments when fully healthy. That would be like, all right, let's see what else they have. I think Denver at this point with the 2-game lead has answers for whatever that they could throw at them to win 2 of 5. I just think they have that in them. But if you don't have Chris Paul, what worked in that last game was putting Murray in so many pick and rolls to try to wear him out. I'm going to do this on the list, but there was a play early on where Murray had to guard 4 straight pick and rolls, and they were trying to do it every time. Chris Paul wasn't even trying to score. He was just trying to make him go through pick and rolls. He's like, screen, rescreen, rescreen, rescreen. Didn't go anywhere. He's just like, you know what's tiring? Make him do it.
Man,
If you don't have him, Campaign's not doing that to Murray. Devin Booker can do it to Murray, but it's exhausting for
Campaign spending the whole possession lining up his jumper with his feet pointed the wrong way.
But nobody can do. I don't think you can replicate what they replicated on Jamal Murray without Chris Paul. You can have a Kogi and Torrey Craig push up on him on defense, but Murray will solve that. He solved Nickeil Alexander-Walker. But the other side where you can make him go in pick and rolls, nobody else can do that but Chris Paul.
Agreed.
So to me, I think it would be absolutely damning. If
I've got one more point to make on the series. This was a massive playoffs for a lot of people. It was a massive playoffs with a ton of pressure for Michael Malone. I've loved the job that Michael Malone has done these playoffs. I've loved the coaching job that he's done.
Might come up in Stonk Report.
Okay.
Because I think it was one of the reasons I wanted to do Stonk Report was really to talk about Michael Malone.
Stonk goes to win. Remember that.
But I will let you. Actually, you know what? Let's take our last break and let's play Stonk Report on the other side. Because I was going to talk about Christian Brown, but again, Stonk Report.
Sure. When you get hurt, Backus and Schenker is here to help. Backus and Schenker, they win for Colorado families. That's what they do. They've been helping those who are seriously injured in Colorado for more than 25 years. And they're free. You don't pay them any money until they win your case. No upfront fees. No fees while they work on your case. No fees unless they win your case and they've won over $1 billion for their clients. They've got neighborhood offices in Denver, Aurora, Englewood, and Fort Collins. So check them out. Backus and Schenker, they help with all kinds of injury cases where you weren't at fault. Car accidents, motorcycle, rideshare, pedestrian trucks. They can even help you if you're injured at work. Give them a call today, 222-2222, to find out if you have a case. Again, for free. Don't pay them any money up front. Don't pay them any money while they work on your case. You only have to pay them when, not if, when they win your case and they've won over $1 billion for their clients. So give them a call. They've got the easiest number to remember, 303-222-2222. Give them a call. Find out if you have a case for free. Backus and Schenker wins.
You don't have to pay by the 2. Each 2 is free.
That would be really rough.
It's expensive.
It'd be very, very expensive.
A lot of 2s.
Guys, do you want tickets to a Nuggets playoff game?
Yeah.
Do you want to be at maybe a closeout game 5, or maybe you're in Phoenix? You want to watch the Nuggets maybe close out in 4 in Phoenix in enemy territory?
Holy smokes.
Check out the Game Time app. Make sure to use the code DNVR. You're going to get $20 off your purchase from Game Time when you redeem the code DNVR. Terms do apply, but create an account on the Game Time app. Use the code DNVR, get $20 off. If you want it to sit courtside at an NBA game, if you want to go to a Rockies game, sit behind home plate, those tickets probably a little cheaper. Concert shows,
play for the Rockies,
sporting events. Do you want to just like be in the lineup? Like you might be able to do that on Game Time. Concert shows, sporting events, Game Time is your go-to. Don't be messing around with all those or those third-party websites. They've got flash deals and last-minute tickets. Easy to find and buy tickets for every kind of event in your area. They've got images and seat views of all the tickets that you're looking at. Lowest price guarantee. They've got event cancellation protection, job loss protection, etc. So terms apply. Create an account, redeem the code DNVR for $20 off your purchase at Game Time.
And again, the tip I will give you with Game Time, when you're searching for tickets, next to the dollar signs, the last option is to show all-in pricing. So it shows you the final price you'll pay. So there's no
the fees.
There's no fee shock. You're just like, oh, okay, yeah.
All right, back here, segment 3, DNVR Nuggets Podcast. Please give us a like here, boost this up, let everybody know that we're doing a show. We want all Nuggets fans, all Nuggets enjoyers to be
All
watching the
Nuggets
show.
Nation.
Join in the community. So let's do a little Stonk report, and I'll let you go now. I want to go through a lot of the players as fast as we can because there's some that are really, really interesting. But let's start with Michael Malone. This was a huge pressure playoffs coming into. We talked about it.
Yeah.
It brought us no joy to say that he could be fired with a flop in the playoffs. So that just sets the stage for. It wasn't like a guarantee to be an up arrow, but how are we giving Malone so far?
Oh my God,
He's way up, man.
Teflon Mike getting another coating.
I gotta go on a little rant. And
Okay, let's go.
Save it.
We all
Save
know
it.
Cook.
Save it.
Well, for what? Later.
I think it could get even sweeter, I think.
All right.
Just cook.
My thing. Here's my thing. I'll say that I was going to say, which is one of my pet peeves is when a team is down. A lazy analyst will often be like, "No adjustments," when clearly there are huge adjustments being made. They may or may not work, but that's one of my pet peeves. Is just to be like, "Oh, that's because there was no adjustments." There were a lot of adjustments in this game.
Yeah.
There was a lot of adjustments for both teams in this game. So anyway, just one of my pet peeves. Malone, though.
But I think Malone's biggest move of game 2 was not going back to Michael Porter Jr. in the fourth quarter. And I thought it was absolutely the right move. And usually we're on the other side of it. We're like, oh, you got to go back to Porter.
Right.
But it was clear to me watching that like MPJ was not in that game in a way that he needed to be. He was not locked in. He was not engaged. He looked lost at times in the first half, and it was obvious that I thought they should have stuck with Bruce Brown, and they did. And like Michael Malone throughout these playoffs, he's stuck with what I think is the correct 8-man rotation. Like these are the 8 guys the Nuggets should be playing. I think Jeff Green's been fine. I've loved how he's played Christian Brown. I've loved how, he's staggered 2-3 starters with the bench that, is so clearly the right move.
Insane to me that they never did this in the regular season.
Well,
did it in the
it's
playoffs
not
and it
actually
worked
insane.
perfect.
It's not insane to me.
I'm with Win.
because you don't want to tire out Aaron Gordon.
Well, that part I understand for
Yeah.
sure, but I just still think you would have played it one game. I'm saying this
not showing the hand.
I
Right?
think they went to it a couple of times, saw that it worked, and they were
Yeah,
like, we're
I
good.
think they
We're
had a
good.
feeling it was definitely going to work.
Look, clearly it's right
And-
because there's been no ramp up. It just works.
Right. And an advantage to playing a deep bench in the regular season is so you don't tire out your guys. And I think that was definitely part of the thinking. But I think his rotations have been great.
Yeah.
He's had his team absolutely ready to play. Like, it's so clear that the coaching staff has given the Nuggets a great game plan in round 1 and a great game plan again in round 2. And it's like so funny because we've covered Michael Malone for so long. He is such a grinder and he is so detail oriented and just like obsessed with game planning and coaching. And it's always so hilarious to me if the Nuggets come out in like a third quarter and just shit the bed and like aren't ready to play, or the first quarter of a game against the Timberwolves and aren't ready to play, and everybody's like, oh, Malone doesn't have the team ready to play. It's like, are you kidding, man? Do you think this guy who spends his entire life and day thinking about the team the Nuggets are playing that night and game planning and making sure they have their right scheme and just all their P's and Q's, all their T's crossed heading into every single matchup? Do you think he really doesn't have this team ready to play? It's hilarious to
lazy.
me.
Yeah,
it's
man.
so lazy. It's comical. He's had his team ready to play this whole playoffs, and I think he's coached a great 2 series so far.
Agree.
Yeah,
Agreed.
the thing about Michael Malone and the thing about this team that I've always really held and felt like very confrontational about years ago and would fight about online was that Tim Connolly, Michael Malone, these players were bad. They were over their head. They were bad at their jobs.
And over their head was a phrase a lot with Tim Connolly. For
Tim
some
Connolly,
reason.
there was that famous ESPN article written.
Oh, that's why.
That was
You're
talking
right.
about how they fumbled the Kenneth Faried trade. They didn't really know what they were doing, and it was
That was true, technically.
Yes, but the thing that people never acknowledge in sports, especially because it is really a year-by-year thing, and if you fail, generally you do get fired. But the Denver Nuggets have been allowed to grow naturally in the darkness, is that people get better at their jobs the longer that they do it. Michael Malone has in the past made bad decisions. He has been emotional at times when he shouldn't be. He has been slow to make adjustments that seem obvious to others. And there have been things that you can point at that are like, he's handling this situation wrong. All the same, he has been getting better the whole time. The team has been getting better the whole time. This is the concept of not skipping steps. Like, it's something that's rare in sports because usually when there's so many eyes on you, there's impatience that comes with it, and things aren't allowed to coalesce and grow and move in the right direction. But the Nuggets have been blessed by the fact that no one has been paying attention to them. No one cares. There's
So
not
true.
pressure on them to really get rid of
blessed.
anybody. And in the end, it's like made them strong like oak. Like they get it. They know what to do. Michael Malone is not. None of these situations are too big for them because they've been through them over and over and over. And now it's like, oh, I've seen this before. Now I know what to do. Like, people get better at their jobs. And so I feel like in the past, I would try and defend Michael Malone, and it would come off like a weird, like that weird, like you always like to bring up that meme, like a totally valid criticism, and me, the nerd, jumping in front. My man. But my God, like, people get better. He's gotten better. Like, this team gets better.
Yeah. I just think back to that that late season game against the Rockets where the Nuggets just like weren't ready to play, or they just didn't show up. They just like cashed it in, and everyone was like, Michael Malone did not have his team ready to play. It's like, are you kidding, man? Like, how lazy of a take can you make? Like, that is the laziest take ever. You think like he didn't give them the scouting report, prepare like he does for every single game? Like,
Guys were in Houston, man.
it's so lazy.
I just think it's composure. That's where he's grown the most. Murray talked about it last night at the podium. Malone was a white knuckler, man. Like, he just can't let go. And as this team has gotten better at holding each other accountable, he's relaxed. He's a calmer coach. He's more composed in the playoffs. And Murray has talked about how the huddles have been more and more the players talking to each other, him backing away, letting them do that. I think Malone is a micromanager at heart, and I think he's learning now how to trust his team, and he looks more composed, less panicky than ever before.
I love that take, but the Nuggets 1-5, they're up 2-0. Is there any chance this is and he's been relaxed, I think, because he knows his team.
There's a lot to that. I think there's a lot to that.
But I also even in practice leading up to the series, I just expected him to be so much more nervous, and he has been so calm.
It's because he actually has a team.
I think, but I mean, his hands.
I think that's a big part of it.
And he cut a steam vent in the top of his, so he's not as angry.
You should see the other guy.
Pickleball accident. So according to the broadcast, but in all sincerity, like, it's not going to be smooth sailing like this the whole way.
Pickleball.
And do you think he reverts back to white knuckling?
Yeah, maybe that'll be his big test, I think, and how he responds to that. But all indication from the players when they talk about it is that that's Malone's area of growth.
I love it. This is a veteran team, though. Like, this is why coaches always want veteran teams, is because it's just easier to be decompressed. And the one rookie he has, by the way, we'll talk about him, doesn't look like a rookie at all.
And his veterans, we can say this too much, but they're so vocal. Right. KCP, Jeff, DeAndre, like, KCP sat up there at the podium. He sounded like Paul Millsap of old and Michael Malone himself. Like, I'm just telling these guys every day, defense, 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 defense.
But even guys like Aaron Gordon, who are veterans, he's not like, is Aaron Gordon taking this seriously? Do I need to go? Is he calm? No, he's like, no, he's been here before. He knows exactly what he needs to do. Jamal Murray.
Oh, interesting. Man, this is a tough
this
time
is
to ask
playoffs
me
at
this
large
question.
or this series?
How you stonk report, you guys? I actually think this one's easy. Yeah, I think this one's easy. I'm surprised it was hard.
Well, I mean, he did just have a terrible game.
He had a bad game.
He did.
He's been up and down. He's playoff Murray.
I feel like he's a little different, though, because last night he came to the podium and just, like, talked about his bad game. And he talked about it in, like, a very reflective way. Took a lot of blame. Said he played bad, which he did. And, like, owned up to it. And I just felt like it was a very mature way of him looking at it and kind of taking it in stride and compartmentalizing it. And I think he's going to be better because of it. I just think he's growing up, and I think he's more suited now to absorb that kind of game than he's been in the past.
It is funny, though, that chastised the media for always questioning him, and then came out with this stuff.
He knew it too. He had to get back up there. I know. Like I appreciate
You guys all think I don't know what I'm.
He's like Nick. I gotta go. I gotta get back up.
Hey guys,
but
I'm
he did
sorry.
it. No, he did it.
He did it. No, I heard it. Here's the thing, though, and I put this out on Twitter last night, and our colleague Matt Schubert at the Denver Post kind of questioned. I said, like, Murray and Jokic in the clutch carried them home, and I think it was KCP, not Murray. Both correct here. KCP more so in terms of impact, on that game. He made the shots. But here's what I mean, and the perspective I was coming from. Jokic dominated the whole game, and Murray struggled the whole game. At the end, you needed to have something to go to generate the right looks. And that was the Jokic-Murray two-man game. Yep. And Murray in the fourth quarter was actually good.
Yes. Yeah.
Especially in the clutch when the later it got. He got the ball to Jokic exactly where he needed to.
He hit a shot too.
He hit a shot.
Did hit a shot.
But he got the ball exactly where it needed to go on a possession-by-possession basis. And a game that was a defensive slog turned into more of a slog for the Suns and less of a slog for the Nuggets in the stretch. And yes, KCP knocked down the shots, but one night it's going to be KCP, the next night Porter, the next night Gordon. Those are the results. Those are the results of a good process. The good process is Jokic and Murray, and Murray finally showed up to be able to get him the ball there. And again, not to belabor this point, Chris Paul gets hurt. Maybe it's different if Chris Paul's there. Maybe Chris Paul's too tired if he's still there to be able to hound him like that. But this is one reason why I think the Chris Paul absence is so bad is Murray was unchained at the end of the game. And I think it's part of why he got back into that rhythm.
Interesting.
But to me, the reason for me this is an easy up for Murray, despite the Bass Lad game, the inconsistency is still there. I'm sorry. Last game proves it's still there. But Murray, Jokic, two-man game remains the best, or at least the S-tier two-man game in the NBA. You might tell me Draymond, Steph, LeBron, and Anthony Davis are as good, but I just don't think they're better, and that's such a good thing to have.
Yeah. Quick question, though. I mean, how can you say something remains and then say it's up?
What do you mean?
It remains the best two-man game in the NBA. That, to me, says side by side, the same. It hasn't gone up. That means it's the same. Anyway, vote T, please.
No, but it has gone up, and that the Nuggets are now Nuggets offense now playing at an even higher level. No, I'm telling you, it is up because they're not just doing this against the Houston Rockets. They're not just doing this against a team that didn't game plan for them. They're doing it at the highest possible levels. And honestly, it is up. I mean, Murray having a better postseason than regular season statistically?
What I will agree to is that, what I think is, he has returned to where we know he can be, but he was down before that, so he's gotten back up to the same. So, again, I'm right. Let's go.
Semantics report.
Well, this is a show.
Go ahead.
This show is literally us talking.
That's a great point.
I think
this is 100% semantics.
That's a great point.
I think he's up from my expectation of him. So
I know.
It's a good argument.
I just want to be right.
Aaron Gordon.
Oh, dude, come on. I can't.
Is Aaron Gordon, actually, let's rephrase it another way, I guess, because we're all going to be up here. Is it at an all-time high?
Yeah, man.
He's at an ATH now.
That was Aaron Gordon's best game as a Denver Nugget. It was in the playoffs. It was against Kevin Durant. It was arguably the biggest game of the Jokic era to date, and he was phenomenal.
Yeah, he wasn't just good.
And sometimes Kevin Durant's difference between a very good game and a transcendent game or even a bad game is he'll probably hit those shots next time. I don't think you can say that.
No, man, he bothered him.
Yeah,
he bothered him.
Gordon was there, man. And so it's the second series in a row where Denver's had all these luxuries offensively. And then it's Aaron, listen, man, it'd be great if you could score, and he has, but can you just go be an all-NBA defensive level player? And last night I thought he was a defensive player of the year caliber player.
Yeah. He took Cat out of the series against the Timberwolves. He eliminated him from that series.
Got that dog in him.
Cat eliminated himself a little too, but he did a great job. Unbelievable job.
He is the backup center. He played backup center sometimes against a Towns Gobert front line in that first round. Now he's doing it again against a little less intimidating backup front line. But, yeah, the work he did on Kevin Durant last night, phenomenal. It's phenomenal.
It's exactly why you trade a beloved member of the Denver Nuggets, Mr. Nugget at the time, to get a guy like Aaron Gordon. This was the perfect piece at the perfect time. And it's just been us waiting and waiting and waiting to see everything come together so it could be what we saw that amazing vision of the Denver Nuggets that we got for those 8 games before tragedy befell because of me. And they're just back. I mean, it's, I don't know. I just hope this continues. It's just, there's something so satisfying about seeing something, believing in something, seeing the vision of it, and then having it taken away from you, and then still having your faith tested. Like, are you going to remain? Do you think they still have it? Was that a mirage? And being like, no, I believe in the construction of these players, and I'm willing to wait for it. And now we're waiting, and it's just like, yes, there's no defense against the Denver Nuggets. Aaron Gordon can do so many things on the offensive side. He is so impactful on the defensive side. There are all of these players that fit perfectly in this puzzle that just at the end of the day, it's like, if they are playing, it's like unsolvable.
Yeah. Let's keep going, though, here. Michael Porter Jr.
Hate to do it.
Could be.
But there are caveats.
Could be.
Michael Porter down. Interesting.
Yeah.
But there are caveats.
MPD.
His defense has been good.
Very, I think, yeah, good to very good in this
No
series.
complaints.
I agree.
I just thought this was going to be the playoffs where, like, there were no questions about just his overall impact on a game, you know? And he's still the guy who, you know, one night he can be like a piece of the big 3, you know, hit big shots, and then another night, 2 nights later, like, it's just clear he shouldn't be on the floor in the fourth quarter. Like, I thought there was going to be just more consistency.
I think he could have been on the fourth in that game. Like, defense, that it's usually because of defense that he's not on the floor in the fourth. And I think he was not on the floor in the fourth because they needed a ball handler.
Yep.
A defense,
Maybe.
so like the defensive stuff and the rebounding, this is why I called him a circle of trust player, because that stuff's still there. But I'm with Wind. That last game, maybe it was a little more apparent in the arena too, but Porter's had 2 for 7 games where he never takes himself out of it, plays with a winning spark, is laser focused. He took himself out of that game. He put his head down. At one point, Jeff Green was trying to get him psyched up after the and one dunk.
Yeah.
And to me, I give him an F in that game, which I know is really harsh. It is an F, and it's down because he allowed his poor shooting to take himself out of a playoff game.
Yeah.
And that's the stuff he can't do. But the defense and the rebounding, I think it's almost too good to be true so far.
To me, I would have gone up. So I would have been an outlier
Wow.
here because he's down in last night. But I don't think he was removed from the game for something he did. I think, to your point, in some ways, he was removed from the game because of how bad Jamal Murray
And
was.
you can't bench Jamal. There's
Jamal
lots
was,
of
Jamal
that,
was
yeah.
well, you can't bench him, but also, look, man, they needed another ball handler because Jamal couldn't break free of that, and they needed to free him up. So
It's not MPJ hate. I mean, come on, man. How many times do I have to get up here and be embarrassingly high
the
on the guy?
Bragenda is literally Michael Porter Jr. supporter.
Like,
Dude,
he'll be
I will say
fine.
though, I would have been up because the fourth quarter clutch shooting in the playoffs so far is not just a 1-game thing; it's a multiple game thing. The defense has been the fact that we've never once talked about him being a negative defender. He has big rebounding games in this one. I actually think he's been really good, and I'm less surprised that he was taken out. Here's the thing about roster construction. Jokic is never getting taken out of the game, and Murray is almost never getting taken out of the game. Maybe there's a scenario I could foresee where they would remove him, but almost never. Everybody else, it's about the matchup. And you don't want to take Porter out. You don't want to take Aaron Gordon out. You don't want to take KCP out. But there are situations where, to your point, we just need another ball handler. We just need another rebounder. We just need another this or that. And Porter, unfortunately, is a great player, but the roster construction has it that he is a interchangeable place.
See, but that to me is why he's down. Is that you would never take Klay Thompson out? Like, there's not a matchup where you're like, we got to get this guy out of here. Like, this is the.
But I think that's because Steph Curry would never get.
But he should be one of these 3 pillars. Like, it's not that.
But
Like,
my
I'm not
point
like
is he doesn't get Klay doesn't not get taken out because of Klay. It's Steph Curry doesn't get locked up by.
I understand that. I understand, but there's a certain point where there's like. I look at Michael Porter Jr. as part of the 3-headed monster of the Denver Nuggets, like the real true like death lineup. And it's a little discouraging to me just looking at the overall outlook on his effectiveness and who he is, that he can be taken out at the end. They're like, oh, well, like his talent is such that you should never consider taking him out. There's like no matchup where you're not like, oh, well, he's going to knock down a three that's going to be devastating, so it's fine. Like whatever it is. So I mean, I don't think he's playing poorly, and I think that there's a lot of things that actually are going way up. And there's a little recency bias because of just this last game, but like overall, I think like I just expect more of him.
We're doing Stonk report after his worst game of the playoffs,
exactly,
so technically he's down. Different question: am I concerned about MPJ?
No.
Let's go lightning round here real quick for the rest of the guys. We all get like 10 seconds to talk about him. Nikola Jokic.
Bang.
Yeah, I mean,
Enough said.
best player in
Bang.
the world.
Let's go.
You're going down.
No. It's up. I was trying to think of a fun question. Jokic's best game of the playoffs, ahead of him or behind him?
Ahead. Yeah.
I agree.
sure.
I agree. KCP.
Bang.
Oh, after coming off.
I know
last
this is
night.
like we should just call this recency bias. The game.
I will say this though. Here's the thing about KCP. I put it on the timeline last night. He's right on time.
Yep.
His shots, like it wasn't like he's hit a million shots in the playoffs. He's hit a good amount, but they've all been right on time.
Yeah.
Last
agree.
night, never more so than last night.
Strong
See, we
agree.
saw him do it to us before.
Yeah, we really have actually. Let's go to Bruce Brown.
Oh my god.
Oh, come on, man. Come
This
on.
this might be the biggest riser
Bruce-
in all of the playoffs.
I think you're right.
Loose in the playoffs.
I in the worst way, man. I'm telling you, I have completely lost hope that we resign Bruce.
I know.
Oh, it's done. Forget about
Dude, I have
it.
people in the DMs hitting me up like from other writers and stuff like, hey man, what do you think Bruce Brown does this offseason? I'm like, yeah, he's available.
Takes
Like,
the
he's-
bag.
Yeah, he guys is gonna
Takes the
he's-
bag.
Everybody wants Bruce Brown right
he's
now.
earned it.
He really is. You're right.
In all the of all the teams.
Who has a higher? Who would we have to put? Jimmy Butler right now is like.
But
Role
we've
players.
seen that.
Role players with higher playoffs.
But I'm saying like
I
this.
don't know.
is-
Jimmy Butler has gone.
He
even
had,
for
but
him.
we know this of Jimmy. We've
Yeah.
seen him do this before. Bruce Brown is like really coming from a place of like people know the name to like, oh man, like,
I'd have
that
to
guy.
Brown
really
is
think.
a maniac, man. That dude is possessed on the court.
I'd have
he's
to really
insane.
think.
He's wild.
I think the most proud I was of Bruce last night, such a weird way to frame it. Maybe the best thing Bruce did last night was not punch Devin Booker in the face. Because you're like, he wants to.
shoved him in the chest
He
and
wants to.
walked away. He was
And the
like,
best-
bro, I'm Bruce. I don't need to deal with this.
Dude, and the greatest part about Bruce Brown is that I'm not positive his entire persona isn't a bit. His cowboy hat, he wears
I know.
a bass fishing hat.
We're
He's
not
from
sure.
Boston. I don't know. I don't
don't
know what he's
know.
all about, but I love it.
He's got us all fooled, I think. How about Jeff Green?
Dude, I'm going to do it.
Whoa, green for the arrow.
Uh,
I'm gonna go near.
There's like a seal. There's like a
I
ceiling
think Jeff
right
Green's been
above
fine. I think he's been fine.
I love a rise for Jeff Green is that he's fine.
It is.
Jeff Green has done some tough assignments. I mean, he guards Kevin Durant. He's guarded some big time players.
He had
in big
4
moments.
rebounds, 2 blocks last night.
I'm with you guys. I think it's up. And then lastly, Christian Brown.
I mean,
I mean,
the last rookie left in the playoffs, Harrison.
Yeah.
Is he?
He's the only rookie in a rotation right now.
Really?
Yeah.
Now, when you say in the rotation, you undersell it massively. I was sitting thinking this on my drive in. A rookie, didn't really play till January. He's guarding Kevin Durant.
I know.
The hardest possible one-on-one
Devin
assignment
Booker.
you can get. And can I tell you something? Really good.
Yeah.
Aaron Gordon deserves the flowers for how well he guarded him.
Yeah.
Christian Brown, a close second. Honestly, that's what's so crazy. Aaron Gordon was unbelievable. Christian Brown, close second.
I agree, man.
I think it's so unbelievable and so encouraging that the Nuggets have this dude locked up for years to come, and he looks like already a part of your 8-man rotation against the best offensive
You
talent.
got to go back and find it. I swear to God, you were saying this was going to happen. That they were going to.
I'll be honest, I did not see him guarding Kevin Durant.
But you were talking
love to
about
take that one.
You were talking about how you could see him being a part of the rotation going into the playoffs because he was that type of player, the
Right,
type
right.
of player
Look
that
at
the Denver
Harrison's
Nuggets.
face right now. He's like, what was I saying?
Well, I'll be
but
honest, though,
he was on earlier, but then he banged the drum harder than anyone has banged it for Christian
No,
Brown.
I said it
season
after
forward.
the second game of the season.
Yeah.
Well, this
the
was like
first game that Christian Brown played minutes. It was against the Warriors, and I was like, Holy shit.
Yeah.
Well, Summer League for me, if you remember,
I was not there in Summer League. I was not quite
I'm telling
there.
you, he didn't make any shots, and it was so bad that you worried. But every game, it was like 3 steals, 2 blocks, like 8 rebounds. He just does stuff, and that's what he does at this level. It's so consistent, and the shot making comes and goes. Luckily, when he plays with good players, he just doesn't shoot, and so the missed shots or the inconsistent shooting doesn't matter as much. To me, I'm so high on Christian Braun. He's the exact type of player you need to have in a championship rotation. And the fact that he's locked up with the Nuggets for years and that this is likely the worst he'll ever be is so encouraging, man.
I mean, is he already the best individual defender of the Jokic era?
Maybe.
He just doesn't bite
Like,
on
That
anything.
doesn't feel like an overreaction.
I don't know
right
if he's
now.
quite there.
I mean,
just
Aaron
yet,
Gordon-
but-
I don't know.
Okay, here's the thing. If he could hit a shot,
You know,
we would
I mean,
still be
good
talking about
question.
Shaq Harrison. I want to throw that out there.
Shaq Harrison was a really good defender. You're
he
right.
can't- but he's
It's
so-
a weirder.
he's so
it's
bad
different.
offensively.
But you know what? I'm with Wind.
No,
He
Wynn's
is
right.
such an
I think Wynn's
unbelievable
right.
defender.
That's not a crazy statement.
I think
It
you're
really
right.
isn't.
I think you might be right.
The way he challenges runouts, the
He's
way he
long.
stays down,
He's a three.
he's just so disciplined. All right, let's take a quick little mini break, and then I want to spend a couple minutes here talking about this Lakers-Warriors matchup because we're not so far away that we can at least turn one eye, peripheral vision.
Eyes on the prize right now.
I think you can. Eyes are on the prize. But
Hey, I need you to
peripheral
lock in
vision,
on this series right now.
peripheral vision. We can go over here. Are you going to get over
No, it
this?
was a
Are
good
we
call.
going to
Come
get
on.
over it?
That was a good callback. That was a good one.
Take on the sun with gear built to last. Check out Shady Rays. Shady Rays is an independent sunglass company.
Block out the sun.
They have a world-class product. Block out the sun.
Dude, somebody needs to buy some Shady Rays. Tag them
With
in the
Shady
tweet
Rays.
and be like, ready to block out the suns. And then tag the suns.
Durable frames, extremely clear optics, just as good, if not better, than some of those really expensive brands that break easily and you're probably wasting a lot of money on. If you lose or break your Shady Rays, even on day one, Shady Rays is going to give you a new pair, no questions asked. They've got awesome frames, tons of different styles. Just go to their website, shadyrays.com, scroll the page. They've got like 6, 7, 8 just different styles of sunglasses. Shadyrays.com, use the code DNVR, 50% off 2+ pairs of polarized sunglasses. Try for yourself. The shade is rated 5 stars by 250,000 people. Shadyrays.com. This is a deal exclusive for DNVR listeners. Use the code DNVR, 50% off 2+ pairs of polarized sunglasses.
We're getting into the time of year where you want to block out nature. You gotta
Block
get those
out what?
nature. The sun is a little much during this time of year.
You're not a big nature guy.
Is the sun nature? We consider that nature? It feels more like celestial.
But nature to me is short for natural.
Okay, this episode of the
you,
DNVR
Harrison.
Nuggets podcast brought to you by Illegal Pete.
sun
The natural
nature?
world.
Spring is here. That means patio beers.
What?
Patio beers
Oh,
in
let's
the
go.
spring.
Are you gonna?
man.
And then you know what
This
you
is
need
Denver.
sunglasses.
Kick off the spring season with a house beer bucket for you and your whole crew. This is going on at Illegal Pete's right now. Any of their locations. 5 refreshing 16-ounce beers for $15.
What?
That's $3 a beer.
Unreal.
Doesn't get much better than that. Soak up the sun with a loaded burrito and a crisp beer at the patio of any Illegal Pete's location. Illegal Pete's, your spot for burritos, buddies, and beer. Get a beer bucket, 5 beers, 5 16-ounce beers for $15. Call up a couple friends, split that bucket with them, 3 beers each. Boom. 5 refreshing 16-ounce beers for $15. Check it out. Any Illegal Pete's location.
Yeah, I did.
All right, let's take a look now at these the other Western Conference game.
I love this, by the way. I love that every other podcast gives 11 seconds to the Nuggets and then the whole rest of the time.
Yeah, we only
to
have
the-
a couple
We're
seconds.
giving 11 seconds to this goddamn
We were
matchup.
even probably giving too much, to be honest.
No, we're not, because I mean, up 2-0 again. Eyes on the prize. We're looking forward. But
Oh,
I'm just,
boy.
again, using the peripherals to be like
Jeebs.
Warriors, Lakers. How do we think this is going to go?
I think that the Warriors are going to advance.
No question.
No question.
No question.
So this one's easy for you.
Easy.
I mean, there's
Easy.
There's some question, right? Like a lot of the
Here's a question.
The Warriors very nearly did not advance out of the first round. And
Kings are good.
One of the big reasons that they did advance was Kevon Looney. And this isn't a 1-to-1 thing, but is Looney going to sun Anthony Davis the way he sunned Sabonis?
No.
I don't think so.
I don't think so. And so that to me, like, not to sound like anyone who's ever talked about the Lakers, but it all comes down to Anthony Davis. Is he a dog or is he soft?
Is he a
ED?
cat?
or an ant.
You spoke right over my ED. There's AD, there's ED.
Oh, wow. We've got like 3 sick burns in all on top of
Check
one
out
another.
Roman.
Oh, let's go.
All right,
Let's
hold
go.
on. You don't think this will be close?
No, I don't think it'll be close. I really don't. I'm such a non-believer in the Lakers. I just.
They beat the goddamn Memphis Grizzlies.
But I watched the Memphis Grizzlies. I'm like,
That's what I'm saying,
how
is
are
like-
they this?
the Grizzlies are such frauds that the Lakers might also be frauds.
Yes.
But we can't tell because they beat down another fraud.
Yeah,
bunch
it was
of
like
frauds.
it was fraud on fraud crime, dude. I just don't have any belief in the Lakers. I mean, they'll get a game or two. The Warriors are going to be like, oh, they can't really win on the road, but give me a break. Like, to me, this is 5-6 tops.
I think the Warriors win. I think it should be a shorter series than it turns out to be. I'm pretty much with D-Line. Like, I think the Warriors will mess around in a game like they usually do, just lose
I
it.
think they might lose tonight.
Yeah,
They're coming up the
entirely
series.
possible.
They
yeah,
might
they're
lose tonight.
tired. Like, they've
Where
only
is it?
had a day
It's in
off.
Golden State.
Oh, they won't lose.
But they have 5 days rest for LeBron and AD. Game 7 for
Yeah.
the Warriors. I could see
I
it.
think it's. I'll say Warriors in 7.
In 7.
Yeah.
Oh, would that not be ideal for Denver?
It would be.
Warriors off of 2 7-game series, like.
Yeah.
William Mitchell, resident Warriors fan, he thinks 6 or 7 because the Warriors are somewhat inconsistent in effort.
Yeah, I'm with that. Like, they're gonna drop a game like inexplicably.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah.
They're going to get blown out one game.
Yeah.
Guaranteed.
Yeah. But they'll still win the series.
I'm so curious to see Anthony Davis because he has been unbelievable. And he has an argument when he plays like this for the best defender in the world.
Sure.
And we always talk about Jokic and Embiid. Those are the bigs. Anthony Davis is in that tier to me sometimes.
Right. At
Yes.
his very best.
That's the
Sometimes.
sometimes is the important.
And honestly,
he also has games where
very
he scores
rarely.
13 points.
He very rarely, I would say, is he up here. But when he's up there,
It's true.
like he really is a defensive monster. It's like having Rudy Gobert and Giannis combined.
And Kareem
That's the thing.
Abdul-Jabbar.
He's Rudy Gobert on the perimeter.
because of the Jokic juxtaposition, it's always Embiid's the big who's the dominant defender. And like he is at times, but he also, to me, Anthony Davis is of the best bigs in the world. He's the one defensively who has like a superstar gear on that end.
I think he might be the only true center, and I guess he's not quite a true center. That's what
Yeah.
makes it funny.
Careful.
But the only person that might be a true center that's actually good at defense in the modern era. This is my thing about all the guys. Bam Adebayo, not a real big. Anthony Davis might have it in him to guard Jokic toe to toe, meaning he could play like a true big defensively, but can also guard the pick and roll. Like that,
Yeah.
he's the only one. We might find out.
Someone said, is AD the Jamal of big men?
Dude, he kind of is. He kind of is.
I can't wait for this game now.
He kind of is, but at the same time, Draymond Green, say what you will about him, if you are not real, he's gonna break you, man. He's gonna find it. And Kevon Looney's like a hell of a good defender.
Yeah, maybe break your sternum in the process.
Well, he might break your sternum, but I'm just saying he's tough and he's gonna make you do the thing that you're not good. He's gonna make you have to take it. You know what I mean? He's not gonna let you he just went off for jumpers in the series. He's going to do that, and I'm just so curious to see if AZ can rise above it because I don't think he can. I'm an AD skeptic.
Yeah.
About the dog in him. He's going to have dog in him to beat the Warriors.
and I'm rooting for the Warriors because I want a Nuggets Warriors
Me
Western
too.
Conference Finals.
Me too.
I want to see that rematch. I need that.
Me too.
I feel like we need that to
Dude,
come full circle with everything.
we have so many psychological
Yeah.
wounds that can all be healed in this. Like if we really go up against Tim Connolly, then we go up against the
Suns in
Suns,
4.
then we go up against the Warriors,
Draymond
and then we
Green.
go up against Philly. In like
Yeah, that's what I want to. I want the Warriors and then the 76ers.
at the end
I
of
want
that,
it all.
we would have nothing left. Like it would just be like we should quit. Like
We reached the pinnacle. I think Warriors win this one. I just think the Warriors are honestly one good series away from being the team they were last year that won the title.
Yes.
Meaning, that's why.
Well, maybe without Jordan Poole
Jordan Poole was this last year, though, man.
Well, not against the Nuggets.
No, he was.
He had the two best games of his. But here's the thing about Jordan Poole. Last year, the Nuggets couldn't punish him. This is the difference about Chris Paul and Devin Booker. Like, they also got to just play offense.
Totally.
What happened to Murray last night?
Totally.
He had to play defense, exhausting defense, and he wasn't quite the same guy. Jordan Poole, sure, you're going to play. Let's pick and roll that MFer to death because he can't guard.
That guy's such an idiot. My God.
I mean, I don't know if that's true, but he can't play defense.
Oh, yes, it's true. I said that. Me, Eric. I was like, you could absorb yourself.
I think Warriors win this one, and I'm with you. It's who I'm rooting for. The Lakers narrative to me is so annoying. I don't want to have to go through the Lakers because to me they don't represent the class of the NBA. LeBron represents the class of the era, but they don't represent the team that's like, oh, they were standing in Denver's way. They're not.
No.
Yeah.
If they end up getting there, it's kind of annoying that they're standing in Denver's way. Whereas the Warriors have dominated the NBA for a decade. And they do feel like they're close to on their last legs, although in this day and age, who knows? LeBron's still going at 40, so who knows? Maybe
Steph Curry doesn't appear to be slowing down.
Yeah, maybe the Warriors are just still great. It's 8 years from now, and Yoke's the only one retired somehow.
Entirely possible.
But it does feel like this might be a little bit of a last, great chance that they have. Maybe Draymond leaves. I just want Denver to be the team that says, no, they had to go through the Warriors, and they did.
Yep.
I have felt good about the whole picture since the trade deadline, even with the Sun. Okay, I can finally say now that they're up 2-0 that I have felt better about this matchup since the trade, but also there was this element to everyone's going to make the Suns the favorites. They got to be a star-studded team. I like the way this is all shaking out just in terms of narrative stuff, but also just for the team's, like, I don't want to say confidence, but just slaying dragons, man, just that path to glory. And you got to beat the best to be the best, and I think Denver might very well be the best. So
If that series goes 7 and it's the Warriors, who's favored?
In Nuggets Warriors?
Nuggets win, we'll say, in 5 or less.
It's Nuggets at
I'd
home.
say the
at
Warriors
home.
are favored.
The betting markets tilt
Slightly.
towards what are the people going to bet on, and
they'll Warriors, no question. They're the
Warriors
reigning
like
champs.
minus-
so they'll be favored.
They'll be,
But
of course,
not
they'll be
that
favored.
big of a favorite.
If it's the Lakers,
I think that the I don't think
Lakers.
Denver will be favored ever because
agree.
there's so much
I agree.
money. They just want people to bet on things. And there's
has a
something,
team ever won a title with 3 series as the underdog?
I don't know. Maybe Milwaukee last year or the
It'd be
year before.
interesting. It'd be interesting to see if that was the case because they were underdogs in this Phoenix series. You're saying they would, no matter who it is, they would be underdogs then. And if you get to the finals, I don't know, but maybe they would be on there. I don't know. I love where Denver's sitting. I feel more confident in this team than ever before. And it's just a fun ride to be on right now. Seeing this
fun.
team, we've waited so long for it.
get
Oh my
some
god, we have all
super
these
chats.
super chats. I had no idea.
go
Get him,
quick.
get him vote. Get him vote.
Dylan Melfatti, PHNX said last night, Yoke is a dirty player, LOL.
Oh,
Take
man.
a freaking look at this.
Dude, that's why I almost like
Oh.
when I saw Saul do that. I probably shouldn't have responded, but when I saw him do that, I wanted to send the Portland meme, but then I was like, you don't know what this means.
I know. I want to say this. I want to say leave PHNX alone. Those are our homies. They're getting. I mean,
It was not
the
easy
team
on
is
the
not.
other.
The team is not doing well. They're like. Let's be
Don't
like.
hop in their chat for sure. Like, don't
let's-
hop in their mentions.
Let's
or
be
their
cool.
chat.
Let's not like we. I think we.
let's be cordial.
I think
for
we
sure.
already got like our 2 years of frustration. Like I feel satisfied already with that. Like now
Oh
let's just.
no, you got to win the series.
Well, I agree. I mean, as far as the narrative stuff, because if it flips back, it's going to be horrible. But I'm saying, should it continue down this direction? Like, you know what I mean? Like, let's just treat it like the Spurs or something. Whatever. I get
I'll
it.
have a cathartic moment, but the point is, those are good guys. Like, look, man,
And gals.
we cover this with a Nuggets perspective and through Nuggets glasses, and they cover it through a Suns thing.
Yeah, of
The
course.
Jokic is a dirty thing, though. I will say.
Oh, it's ridiculous.
Reminds me a lot of the Portland guys. The
It's.
funniest.
I mean, it's obviously ridiculous. We know this is ridiculous.
It's
Like,
when you don't know what to do, you just resort to that.
yeah, but
That's what it reminds me
you
of.
know, like Sal's a cool guy. Like,
But
he's our homie.
I get it because we've been there before.
Yes, we
So,
have.
Like I get it.
Clarity checking in. I'm not reading your full name, man. Campaign looks like mouse. All right. Joe in Philly, the most overused catchphrase of 2023 NBA Finals will be non-Jokic minutes. Man, they've been
great lately.
awesome.
That's the story of the playoffs.
The boys' dad. Let's not neglect Rocky's ladder shot backwards first attempt.
I know.
Yeah, that was
it
pretty
first off,
crazy.
second attempt.
Second attempt.
Oh, was it second?
But he did get it in the second. That's a good call. That's a good call. The Great Brows Mall still Canadian Player of the Year. You guys remember that?
Canadian Player of the Year.
They didn't give it to SGA.
Kevin Chicago. I called into Max Kellerman and Keyshawn's show and exposed the blatant racism against Jokic.
That was you?
Done beating around the bush when it comes to Jokic.
Did you see this clip? I watched this clip this morning. I was like, Keyshawn Johnson is terrible. And if this was the call that I think it
I
was.
did not see it.
Send it to me. I want to see this.
Yeah, dude. Like it basically sent Keyshawn Johnson down this just the
Spiral?
most like just the dumbest guy like talking about that thing. It's like, oh, it doesn't look good. He could score 100 points. I just don't like it, man. Like
Right.
that kind of stuff. You're like,
Doesn't look good.
why are you on TV? Like, why do you? I know that you were a good athlete. You're not good at this.
I mean,
why
were
are you
okay.
doing this?
He was an okay football
Why are
player.
you doing this? You're not good at this.
Okay. What else do we got super chat wise? Laking ball, the world's best sport. No one pays more money to take L's. Is there any way the Celtics could steal some clutch time execution from the Nuggets? Not a chance, buddy. They need help. And MPJ Vogt, would you stop clowning the Celtics if they win the chip and admit Jason Tatum is him? I would.
No, he would.
No, I would.
No,
I would.
you would not.
No, I
the,
would.
The Progenda is much stronger than even you give it
Here's
credit.
Here's why I can say that so confidently.
Because it won't happen. Yeah, whatever.
They won't.
Double down,
They
baby.
won't. Look, man, the crunch time execution thing's not going to get better till you switch your best player. Dylan Malfatti closing out to say, I never hopped in their chat. It's just laughable. All right.
I know.
I
Like,
wasn't saying you.
No,
listen,
personal,
man,
nothing
like,
personal. Yeah.
We're homies with PHNX guys. Like we break bread with them.
What do you mean we break bread with them?
We don't hate them.
we built the network. I made all their stuff. Like,
yeah. There are guys.
More than anything, man, it takes so much. I said this last show, but it takes so much to make this thing get off the ground, and they do it every day, and those guys want it. And you have to respect anyone willing to take the biggest risks in life and to put in the work to make those risks, to make those goals and visions come true. And they do,
Absolutely.
man. Whatever you want to say about it, those guys absolutely grind. So, still. Wouldn't mind a beatdown.
Yeah, I mean, like,
but I
listen,
wouldn't mind
this
if they had a horrible May.
the construction,
Terrible.
the
I remember I had a terrible
Yes.
May once, not long ago. It was horrible.
The construction
Wouldn't mind
of
if they
the
had
construction
that.
of the ALLCITY network is meant to be a network of frenemies.
Yeah.
There are friends, but also like I hope that last night sucked for them.
Someone's pointing out that I made a poor choice in my attire today. The colors that I'm repping. A little bit of a disingenuous for me to get up here and hate on the Celtics for rocking
Like,
this.
you can't do the Malone thing where you never wear a color, though.
Well, I'll say
MPJ?
That's an incredible commitment
not
to the
wearing
bit.
purple is way easier than
Yeah,
not
it's
wearing.
MPJ.
Honestly, I kind
How
of.
much purple do you really own?
I feel like what does Yoke say? The basketball gods are always watching. I feel like MPJ made a little mistake last night.
Somebody pointed that out to
I
me on
haven't ruled it
Instagram
out.
Live last night.
Yeah, and Jamal wore Mavericks colored shoes.
Well, the Mavericks aren't. What is this? How does that relate?
The basketball gods are always watching. You don't come up with a signature shoe that is not Nuggets colored, and then you debut it in the playoffs, and you have the
actually-
worst
I don't think that's how
game of
shoes
your
work,
life.
to be honest, in today's
Okay,
day.
listen,
I
what-
think you just make lots of colorways and.
Well, listen.
why was that
They
the
make a lot of
color word?
jumpsuits. They make a lot of sweatsuits.
We're going to 8D chess now. All right, that does it for today's show, guys. This was a fun one. We may have some very interesting guests rest of the week coming on, so you're going to want to keep your ear to the ground, so to speak. I'm excited about some of the guests we should be having over here in the next couple of weeks. Should make the shows fresh, but we'll be back tomorrow previewing the upcoming games. A whole bunch of stuff. Actually, I'm not sure if we're back tomorrow. I think we're gonna have TDSP tomorrow.
Yeah, dude, let's take a break, can we?
But either way, we're gonna be talking Nuggets in some form or fashion. Hit the like button for us on the way out. We'll see you next time.
Let's go.